Welcome to Brunch with the Bradleys, now off the radio but live on the internet and all over the internet. We're here with our MP, the MP for Kenilworth and Southam, the Right Honourable Jeremy Wright. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, Neil.
Thank you for coming to see us today on this another glorious day in Kenilworth.
It is, and it's a pleasure to be outside again.
Always a pleasure to see you as well. And what we're talking about today, we've been talking to the Mayor and the previous Mayor Alison about COVID and the challenges and the opportunities that may bring for Kenilworth after it's finished as well. The economy, I mean there's mixed reports about how things are going to shape up, but specifically for Kenilworth it has its own unique challenges and opportunities. Perhaps you could tell us what your thinking is about them at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think there are challenges and opportunities. There are certainly more challenges than there are opportunities. And I think it's really difficult, particularly for the smaller independent retailers in town who've been closed for a long time. I hope they'll be able to reopen on the 15th of June. That's the plan at the moment, but as has been made clear, it depends on the progress we're making towards combating this disease. But I hope when they're back open again, people will shop, will go in. As you know, I've been very keen to encourage people to use our local independent retailers. Hugely important that we do. That's why we ask people to buy at least one Christmas present in Kenilworth, and it's why we hope to bring other retailers to town. But in the end, that requires footfall, and we've got to have people coming into town. So people have got to feel confident about getting out and about again. I know people want to do that. People are desperate, I think, to get out and about again. But actually, when it comes to it, we also need them to feel safe to do so. So that's a lot about psychology as well, about some of the practical measures we need to take.
Thank you. One of the most exciting things I think for Gail and myself is with the Bradleys, we're everywhere in Kenilworth, and we do go to a lot of things, and we go and speak to a lot of people, so we get a lot of feedback. We felt we did a beautiful thing on VE Day. I don't know if we sent you the link, but there was there were parties everywhere. But the one we were at, there was the most fantastic rendition of Vera Lynn with social distancing in a big circle with a little speaker on the front. And Vera Lynn's very slow apparently, we didn't know, we were all miles ahead of her. But there was that camaraderie and that sense of pulling together. And I don't think I'd seen that spirit before. Is it something new to Kenilworth, do you think?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's always been there. I think we've always had that community spirit in this town. I think what's interesting is that the reason you haven't seen it, I think, recently is that I think it tends to be exemplified in some of the big events we do fantastically well in the town. So we already haven't had the Two Castles run. We probably won't have the Lions Grand Show. We probably won't have even the Carnival. And those are the things that really, I think, crystallise that community spirit that you're talking about. It's always been there. I see it. I guess Alison will have said to you, Richard will have said to you, that they see it when they are mayor. It's one of the best vantage points to see it all from. And I see it as Member of Parliament. So I know it's there, and I know people feel that very passionately in Kenilworth. Take, for example, the number of people who've been out volunteering in Kenilworth to help get people food and medicine that they need during this time. So that's community spirit I'm absolutely sure has always been there in Kenilworth. It's still there, good and strong, and I hope very much we'll be able to see it in all its glory again when we start to lift these restrictions.
Oh, that's really positive. And I have to mention Alison Firth because, I mean, who does not love Alison Firth? and she
I love Alison Firth, and she tried to take my job off me, so that tells you everything.
That must mean you... Yes, she did, actually. She did. But it's all fair and more. But she's been a superb asset to the town. I always say she was born to be mayor, and she did a cracking job at unifying people, I think. And I know Richard will as well. Richard and Kate will do that. But just to mention for her legacy, because I think the fun and laughter from her just emanated across the town.
I couldn't agree more, and I think she was absolutely, as you say, a real breath of fresh air in this role. And everybody does it a bit differently, but I don't think anyone's done it as differently as Alison's done it, and that's a good thing. And I think these institutions need to be shaken up a bit. We need people to do these jobs who will do them differently. And actually what it shows is that if you've got the passion for this town, which she undoubtedly has, if you have the enthusiasm, if you have the warmth and the humanity, then it doesn't really matter how you do the job. People will respond to you, and you can do it effectively. And I think she's been a great mayor for the town, and I thank her for her service.
Just coming back to your point about Kenilworth's future as an economy and a sort of service town and a tourist destination, what can we do to, when it comes back, we've got the most incredible town and history and the castle.
Yeah.
Going around Abbey Fields, you hear different accents, people coming from Birmingham. There's something here, isn't there? There's something quite magical about it. How can we build on something that seems to be quite an adversity into a massive opportunity? What can we do?
Well, I think what we can do is we can start to capitalise on what I expect might well happen this summer, which is that people might not be able to go abroad this summer. We don't know yet, but it may well be the case that people aren't going to be able to take the foreign holidays they might have planned. And instead, they'll want to get out and about in this country. And as you say, Kenilworth's got a huge amount to offer them. I remember when I first was in politics in this town, I was talking to others about developing a Kenilworth Arts and Music Festival so that you could give a focal point for people to come to the town, see what it's like, and then hopefully come back, bring other people and visit again. And I think we've got a lot to offer. We've got great restaurants, we've got the castle, as you say, a lot of hotel accommodation in this town actually, and it's a good base to explore the rest of the area. So if you want to go and see Stratford, if you want to go to see Warwick Castle, though it's by far the inferior castle in Warwickshire, then if you are going to do those things, then base yourself in Kenilworth and go from here and do them. So if we can do that, then that brings people into the town who might otherwise have been on the beaches of Spain or Greece or Italy, and then they will shop in our shops, they'll spend money in our cafes and restaurants, and they'll spend money on our hotels. And that's, I think, the optimistic prospect for Kenilworth this summer, if we can get to the right place on lifting of restrictions. So there's hope, undoubtedly. There's always hope here, and I think people are genuinely passionate about making Kenilworth a successful place to live and work, and I know that they will pour their passion into making this summer a success under whatever conditions we find ourselves.
Well, that's really great news. Now, on a personal note, we're all supposed to learn something during lockdown. I attempted to learn to dance. Now, Gail was a dancer in a previous life,
right,
and she's very good, which I think's intimidated me because having
that's
two
your
left
excuse.
Yeah, absolutely, but I have tried. I just wondered if Jeremy Wright has had time to try to do something on lockdown, something that you wouldn't normally have had time for.
Well, look, I mean, I actually had less time than I'd expected. I mean,
know,
the job I do has actually been quite busy because,
Yeah.
as you might imagine, people are coming to me with questions about the support packages that are available and where there are gaps in them, asking me to help with those. So actually the workload hasn't slowed down much. But nonetheless, we still have found time for other things. It's not been dancing. I'm not even going to try. But I am learning to type better because, of course, I have to do everything on a computer now, and I'm learning how Zoom calls work, because I'm sure many other people are too. But I suspect, like others also, we are making the time to clear the house out a bit. So an awful lot of cupboards have been cleared out. The kids have swapped rooms. We've done all sorts of things like that. But actually, I would say, and I hope other people feel this too, I would say among all the downsides that there are to this lockdown period, there's one particular upside I've noticed, and that is I'm just spending more time with the family. We're sitting down to eat together far more than we ever did. And that's a real bonus, and I hope for us and for others, we'll try and retain some of that, even when we come out of these lockdown conditions. But it will be difficult because people's lives are busy, and they'll get busier and busier when we come out of this. But I hope that people will at least recognise among all the difficulties that there have been, and there have been many, and I disagree with those, and there are some who say, oh, lockdown's been fine, it's been easy, we can work from home, no problem. That's not true for everybody. For some people, that's really, really difficult. And if you don't live in a big house with a nice garden, then this is a really tough time. So that's important, but I hope that what we'll at least be able to take from it is what I am sure others have experienced too, which is the opportunity to spend more time with the family. That's a good thing. If you don't live with other members of your family, then that's different, but for those you live with, then I think there's been a real opportunity to spend more time together. That's a good thing.
As we go on our daily walk around, it mainly goes around, inevitably goes through Abbey Fields. One of the great joys has been to see dads with their kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been noticeable, and it's like dads sort of saying, I've got nowhere else to go, I don't have to go to work, and really getting into being a dad.
Yeah.
And I know that seems crazy, but there's always something else to do, and now there isn't. It's really been a beautiful thing to see.
I think you're absolutely right. And the truth is, for my kids, I'm in London, generally speaking, for the week. I'm there Monday to Thursday. So for them, it's quite unusual for me to be there all week unless you really are in a vacation period. So this is probably the longest period outside the summer holidays they've seen me in the house all day. And you know, that's a good thing. That's a real benefit. But as I say, there's far more downside than upside in this period, and for many this is extraordinarily difficult. And I think therefore we've got to get out of it as soon as we can. And that means, I'm afraid, we've all got to carry on doing what we're asked, and we've got to carry on doing our best to make sure that we get this reproduction rate of the virus down so that we can move out of this period. And that, I think, is what everyone's trying to do.
Jeremy Wright, thank you so much for talking to the Bradleys this morning.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right.